The retirees who actually keep their money, the ones still living comfortably at 75, 80, 85 years old with zero financial stress, they all figured out the same thing. They stopped buying stuff. Not the food, not the medicine, not the things that keep the lights on. I am talking about specific categories of purchases that slowly drain regular retirees dry while the wealthy ones just walk right past them without a second thought. After studying how this plays out across thousands of retirement stories, I have narrowed it down to 10 things wealthy retirees flat out refuse to spend money on anymore. Some of these are obvious. A couple might actually sting a little because you probably bought one of them recently. But if you only change one habit after watching this, make it the last one on this list. That one alone could save your entire retirement. My name is Ivan, and this is what I have learned. Number 10, brand new cars. I know this one has been repeated 1,000 times in personal finance circles, but here's the part most people still miss. Wealthy retirees do not avoid new cars because they cannot afford them. Most of them could walk into any dealership tomorrow, pay cash for whatever is sitting on the showroom floor, and still have enough left over for a steak dinner on the way home. They avoid new cars because they understand depreciation at a level that most people never bother to think about. According to Kelley Blue Book, the average new vehicle loses about 20% of its value in the first year alone. That is not a typo. 20% gone before you have even figured out all the buttons on the dashboard. And by year 5, that same car has lost somewhere between 50 and 60% of what you paid for it. So let me put that in real dollars. You buy a brand new SUV for $50,000. You are excited. You drive it home. You park it in the garage. You post a picture on social media. And within 12 months, that vehicle is worth roughly $40,000. You just lit $10,000 on fire for the privilege of being the first person to adjust the mirrors. Now here is what Rich Richard does instead. Rich Richard buys a 2 to 3 year old certified pre-owned version of the exact same vehicle. Same heated seats, same backup camera, same everything. But somebody else already absorbed that brutal first year depreciation hit. He pays $35,000 instead of $50,000, and then he drives it for another 10 or 12 years, keeps up with the oil changes, and watches his neighbor Poor Peter lease a brand new luxury sedan every 36 months like clockwork. Over a 20-year retirement, the difference between these two approaches is staggering. Poor Peter will cycle through 5 or 6 new vehicles, losing tens of thousands on each depreciation curve. Rich Richard will own maybe 2 cars total and keep an extra $100,000 or more in his portfolio where it belongs. The retired pharmacist worth $3 million, driving a 12-year-old Camry with 200,000 miles on it, is not being cheap. He is being strategic. The neighbor still working part-time at 73 to make payments on a car he does not need is the one paying the real price. Number 9. Extended warranties and unnecessary insurance. This one drives me a little crazy because the entire business model is built on fear. And fear is an incredibly effective sales tool when you are sitting across from someone in a bright showroom who just spent more money than they planned. You buy a new refrigerator. The whole purchase goes smoothly. Then, right at checkout, the salesperson leans in with that concerned little face and says, "Would you like to add the 5-year protection plan for just $249.99? And they say it like a doctor about to deliver bad news about your lab results. Here is the truth that nobody at the store will ever tell you. Extended warranties are almost pure profit for the retailer. That is exactly why they push them so aggressively. Most products either fail within the first year, which is already covered by the manufacturer's warranty at no extra cost, or they fail well after the extended warranty has expired anyway. The window where the extended warranty would actually matter is remarkably small, and the companies selling them know that. The same logic applies to the explosion of add-on insurance products that have taken over modern consumer life. Cell phone insurance, pet insurance on a goldfish, travel insurance on a $200 hotel booking, accidental death coverage for your second cousin. There is literally an insurance product for everything now, and I am pretty sure they invent a new one every Thursday. Rich Richard figured this out decades ago. His philosophy is simple. Insure the catastrophic stuff. Health insurance, absolutely. Homeowners insurance, of course. Proper liability coverage, no question. But he is not paying $15 a month to protect his toaster oven against acts of nature. If the toaster breaks, he buys another toaster. That is called self-insuring. And it is one of the most underrated wealth preservation strategies in retirement. The general rule wealthy retirees follow is this: if you cannot afford to replace it without insurance, you probably should not have bought it in the first place. Number 8. Trendy home renovations. This one is everywhere right now, and it is draining retirement accounts faster than a weekend in Las Vegas. You know exactly what I am talking about. Open concept everything. Quartz countertops with that specific veining pattern that is trending on home design websites this season. Shiplap walls, barn doors on every room, subway tile in 8 different patterns. That particular shade of gray paint that everyone used between 2018 and 2022 that is now considered hopelessly dated. The farmhouse sink that costs more than most people's first car. Here is the thing about trendy renovations that nobody wants to hear. By the time you finish the project, the trend is already fading. The kitchen you spent $80,000 renovating last year will have your grandkids walking in 5 years from now saying, "Wow, Grandma, this is so 2024." And they will not mean it as a compliment. Industry data consistently shows that a mid-range kitchen remodel costs somewhere between $40,000 and $80,000, and homeowners typically recoup only about 60 to 70% of that investment when they sell. That means you are losing $15,000 to $25,000 every single time you chase a design trend. Do that 3 times over a 30-year period, and you have basically handed the home improvement store the equivalent of a brand new car. Rich Richard renovates for exactly 2 reasons: function and structural necessity. The roof is leaking. Fix the roof. The plumbing is from 1962 and held together with wishful thinking. Update the plumbing. The kitchen layout is genuinely terrible and makes cooking a nightmare. Fine, redo it. But he is not ripping out a perfectly functional bathroom because some television personality said matte black fixtures are the must-have look this season. Poor Peter, on the other hand, has remodeled his kitchen 3 times in 15 years, each time convinced that this version will finally make him happy. Spoiler, it did not. The wealthiest retirees I have come across live in homes that have not had a major cosmetic update in years. Some of them still have the same countertops from the 90s. And you know what looks even better than a trendy kitchen? Their retirement account balance. Number 7. Luxury status goods. There is a fascinating psychological shift that happens with truly wealthy retirees, and it is almost the exact opposite of what most people expect. When folks first start earning real money in their 30s and 40s, they often go through what I call the logo phase. Everything has to broadcast wealth. The designer belt, the luxury handbag, the watch that costs more than a semester of college, the shirt with the giant brand logo splashed across the chest like a billboard advertisement. But somewhere between building real wealth and reaching retirement, something flips in their brain. They stop buying the logos entirely. The reason is actually simple once you hear it. The entire purpose of a $400 designer t-shirt is to communicate to strangers that you can afford a $400 t-shirt. But once you are actually wealthy, you stop caring what strangers think about your financial situation. That right there is the whole secret. Richard buys quality, not branding. He will spend $100 on a perfectly tailored blazer that lasts 20 years without thinking twice. But he will not spend $100 on a hoodie just because somebody printed a fashion house name across the chest in big block letters. He does not need the world to know he has money. He already knows, and that is enough. There is an old observation that goes like this: when you are broke, you wear designer labels to look rich. When you are middle class, you wear designer labels to feel rich. And when you are actually rich, you wear a plain white t-shirt from a warehouse in store, and nobody can tell whether you are worth $10 or $10 million. Here is the uncomfortable truth. The only people genuinely impressed by your luxury status goods are people who cannot afford them. Actual wealthy people see someone walking around with a $1,500 designer bag, and they assume one of two things. Either that person is carrying serious debt, or they work in marketing. Number 6. Subscription services they forgot they are paying for. This is a relatively new wealth killer, and it is sneaking up on retirees in a way that the previous generation never had to deal with. According to a recent survey, the average American spends over $1,000 a year on subscription services. That includes streaming platforms, music services, news apps, meal kit deliveries, cloud storage, fitness apps, and about a dozen other things that quietly auto-renew every single month. And here is the kicker. Research shows that Americans waste over $200 a year on subscriptions they do not even use. They signed up for a free trial, forgot to cancel, and now they are paying $14.99 a month for a service they have not opened since last summer. For retirees on a fixed income, this silent drain is particularly dangerous. You subscribe to 4 or 5 streaming platforms because each one had that one show you wanted to watch. But now you are paying close to $70 a month for television, and most nights you are watching the same 2 channels anyway. You have a gym membership you have not used since March. A magazine subscription that goes straight from the mailbox to the recycling bin. An app you downloaded to track your sleep that you forgot charges you annually. Rich Richard does something most people never think to do. Every quarter, he sits down and reviews his bank statement line by line. Every single recurring charge gets questioned. Do I actually use this? When was the last time I opened this app? Is there a free alternative that does the same thing? If the answer to any of those questions is unsatisfying, he cancels it immediately. Poor Peter has not looked at his recurring charges in over a year. He is paying for 3 streaming services, 2 cloud storage plans, a meditation app, a language learning platform he used twice, and a subscription box that delivers artisanal snacks he does not even like that much. That adds up to over $150 a month, or $1,800 a year, quietly evaporating from his retirement savings while he wonders why his account balance keeps shrinking a little faster than expected. If you are listening to this and suddenly wondering how many subscriptions you are actually paying for right now, you are not alone. Most people genuinely do not know the answer to that question. And that is exactly why this one makes the list. Number 5, percentage-based financial advisors. This one is going to ruffle some feathers, and I want to be careful here because there are genuinely excellent financial advisors out there who earn every dollar of their fee. Some have saved their clients from catastrophic mistakes. Some have built plans that turned modest savings into comfortable retirements. I am not here to trash the entire profession, but the standard fee model, where an advisor quietly takes 1% of all your assets every single year, regardless of performance, is silently devastating retirement portfolios across the country, and most people have no idea how much it is actually costing them. Let me walk you through the math, because this is the part that keeps people up at night once they finally see it. Say you have got $500,000 saved for retirement. Not bad. A 1% advisory fee sounds tiny. Just 1%. That is only $5,000 a year. Hardly worth worrying about. But here is what happens when you factor in compounding over 25 years. According to analysis from financial planning firms, that same portfolio growing at 7% annually without any fees would reach approximately $2.7 million after 25 years. With a 1% annual fee reducing your effective return to 6%, that portfolio only grows to about $2.15 million. The difference is roughly $560,000. Over $500,000 gone, not because of bad investments or a market crash, but because of a fee that sounded like pocket change when you first agreed to it. Rich Richard figured this out early. He either manages his own money using simple, low-cost index funds, which honestly takes about 20 minutes a year to rebalance, or he uses what is called a fee-only fiduciary advisor. Fee-only fiduciary advisors charge a flat hourly rate, or a flat annual fee, maybe $300 to $500 per hour, or a few $1,000s per year for a comprehensive financial plan. You pay them when you actually need advice, get your plan, and that is it. No silent percentage skimming off the top of your portfolio every single year, whether they did anything for you that year or not. Poor Peter has been paying 1% for 15 years and has never once asked what that fee has actually cost him in total. He just knows his advisor calls him twice a year to say stay the course and ride it out, and that somehow feels worth it because it is comforting to hear. But comfort has a price, and in Peter's case, that price is a few $100,000 he will never get back. I am not saying fire your advisor tomorrow. What I am saying is run the actual numbers. Figure out exactly what you are paying over the full length of your retirement. You might decide the peace of mind is worth it, and that is a perfectly valid choice, but at least you will know what that peace of mind is actually costing you. Number 4, expensive hobbies that eat through savings. This is where retirement goes sideways for a lot of people, and it usually starts with the best of intentions. You spent 40 years working hard. You finally hit retirement. You think to yourself, now I am going to do all the things I never had time for. And then you pick the most expensive hobbies on the planet without doing any math first. Golf is the classic example. The equipment alone runs you a couple $1,000s. A country club membership can cost anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 a year, depending on where you live. Every round costs you $100 minimum, plus the inevitable $80 you spend on lunch and drinks at the clubhouse afterward. Then you start thinking about golf trips. Then you need new clubs because yours are 2 years old and the technology has changed. It adds up horrifyingly fast. Boating is even worse. There is a joke in the boating community that the 2 happiest days of a boat owner's life are the day they buy the boat and the day they sell it. The purchase price is just the beginning. You have got docking fees, insurance, maintenance, fuel, winterization, and repairs that somehow always cost more than the quote. A 30-foot pleasure boat can easily cost $15,000 to $20,000 a year to maintain even if you barely use it. Rich Richard is not anti-hobby, far from it. He believes hobbies are essential for a happy, healthy retirement. But he picks hobbies that either cost next to nothing or that he can enjoy at a reasonable cost. Walking and hiking through local parks and trails. Gardening, which has the added bonus of actually feeding him. Reading books from the public library. Volunteering at organizations he cares about. Woodworking with tools he already owns. Fishing from a $300 kayak instead of a $30,000 boat. The math on this one is wild when you lay it out. A retiree who picks golf and boating as their primary hobbies can easily spend $25,000 to $50,000 per year supporting those habits. A retiree who picks hiking, gardening, and library reading might spend $500 total over a 25-year retirement. That is the difference between leaving your kids a meaningful inheritance and asking them to help cover property taxes. Hobbies are supposed to bring you joy and relaxation. If your hobby gives you a panic attack every time you open the credit card statement, that is not a hobby. That is a financial obligation dressed up in recreational clothing. If you are finding value in this so far, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is free, it helps the channel keep making videos like this, and you will not miss the next one. Number 3, gifts designed to impress rather than connect. This one is subtle, and it is the kind of thing that nobody talks about because it feels wrong to question generosity. But there is a real difference between generous giving and performative giving, and wealthy retirees figured out which one matters a long time ago. Here is what happens with a lot of retirees. The grandkids come to visit. You want them to have the best time possible. You want them to remember visiting grandma and grandpa as the highlight of their childhood. So you go overboard. $400 in toys before they even walk through the door. A new tablet, the latest gaming device. That ridiculously expensive toy they saw advertised on a kid's channel. By the time the visit is over, the living room looks like a toy store exploded, and the grandkids are so overstimulated they cannot even pick which thing to play with. 3 weeks later, those toys are buried in a closet at home, and the grandkids have moved on to whatever is trending next. They do not remember the stuff. They barely registered it. You know what they do remember? They remember Grandpa teaching them how to fish at the pond behind the house. They remember Grandma letting them help make cookies from scratch, flour everywhere, icing all over their faces. They remember sitting on the porch listening to stories about what life was like before the internet. Rich Richard stopped buying affection a long time ago. When his grandkids visit, he plans activities, not shopping trips. He takes them to the park. He teaches them card games. He lets them help in the garden. He gives them his time, which is genuinely the most valuable thing he has, and the one thing you cannot get back once it is gone. The same applies to gifts for friends and family. Poor Peter drops $300 on a fancy gadget for a birthday because he wants the recipient to be impressed. Rich Richard writes a handwritten letter with a $20 book he carefully picked out because it reminded him of a conversation they had months ago. Which gift do you think gets remembered? Wealthy retirees shifted their entire relationship with giving. They stopped spending money on people and started spending time with people. And the result is not just better finances. It is deeper relationships, more meaningful connections, and the kind of retirement where you feel genuinely loved rather than just generous. Number 2, convenience services they can easily handle themselves. This is one of the sneakier drains on retirement savings because each individual expense feels tiny and completely reasonable. But together, they form a slow leak that can quietly drain thousands of dollars a year. Think about how many convenience services have popped up in the last decade. Grocery delivery with a markup of 15 to 30% on every item, plus a delivery fee, plus a tip. Meal kit services that charge $40 to $60 for ingredients that would cost $15 at the grocery store. Lawn care services running $100 to $200 a month for a yard you are perfectly capable of mowing. Car wash subscriptions, laundry services. Someone to assemble the furniture you bought online. An app that will send a person to your house to hang a picture frame. Each one of these feels like a small luxury, and individually, none of them will bankrupt you. But add them up across a full year and the number gets uncomfortable fast. Grocery delivery twice a week, at an average markup of $20 per order, is over $2,000 a year in convenience fees alone. A lawn service at $150 a month for 8 months is $1,200. Meal kits 3 times a week at $40 each is over $6,000. Before you know it, you are spending $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a year on things you could do yourself, and in many cases, things you actually use to enjoy doing. Rich Richard mows his own lawn, not because he has to, but because he likes being outside. He finds it meditative. He goes to the grocery store in person because he likes picking out his own produce and chatting with the people at the deli counter. He cooks his own meals because the process of cooking brings him satisfaction and keeps his mind active. This is the part that most people miss about convenience services. They do not just cost money. They rob you of activity, routine, and purpose. 3 things that retirees desperately need and often struggle to find. Rich Richard is not being cheap when he washes his own car on a Saturday morning. He is being smart. He is keeping busy, saving money, and maintaining the kind of active lifestyle that keeps retirees healthy and engaged. Poor Peter, meanwhile, has outsourced so many daily activities that he now has entire days with absolutely nothing to do. And what does a bored retiree with nothing to do and a smartphone do? He shops online, which brings us to number 1. And number 1, the silent wealth thief, emotional purchases. This is the biggest one on the entire list. It is the one that takes down on more retirements than bad investments, high fees, and medical bills combined. And it is the one almost nobody wants to talk about because it hits a little too close to home.